All right, so we left off having done A here. B, you want to write this in vertex form, which is of that form. And you have the vertex, so that should help you. Okay, don't forget where the vertex, that the vertex is actually H comma K. All right, and the minimum Y value also you should be able to get from there. Okay, let's skip on over to section 5. So this one is about a golf ball that gets a ball is hit so that its height h in feet after t seconds is h of t equals negative 16t squared plus 60t plus 0.2. What is the initial height of the golf ball? How high is the golf ball after 1.5 seconds? And what is the maximum height of the golf ball? Okay, so these are just values of t. What is the initial height means t equals 0. How high is it after 1.5 seconds means t equals 1.5. I'm going to let you think about that. We'll do it in class also. And then what is the maximum height? And I'm just going to give you a little hint. So h of t equals that is a parabola if you were to graph it. Okay? And it's upside down because of the negative. And so it has a high point, right? Notice this is like the trajectory of the ball, kind of. Has a high point. And when they're asking you what is the maximum height, they're asking you about the vertex. Yeah? Really the same question as that one. Okay, let us proceed. So we'll leave the rest of that for class. Let us continue with R-4, which is factoring. And factoring, and again, we're just going to, this is a review. This is not you learning to factor. This is kind of remembering how to factor. All right, so first we're going to factor the difference of two squares, which is a polynomial of the form a squared minus b squared. How do we get a squared minus b squared? Well, if you multiply a plus b times a minus b, you get a squared minus b squared. So to factor, you just go backwards. A squared minus b squared in factored form is a plus b times a minus b. All right, don't forget you should always factor out the GCF in any factoring problem. So let's start with an example of difference of squares, maybe. All right, so first, no GCF. So is this a squared minus b squared? Well, I would check like this. Is it of that form, a squared minus b squared? Is there an a that I can put here? And is there a b that I can put there? And the answer is yes. So therefore, this factors into x plus 3 times x minus 3. Notice that's your a and your b, a plus b times a minus b. And if I distribute, I get back x squared minus 9. So that's my answer for that one. Okay, we try doing it with this one. Oh, first of all, is there a GCF? No. So is this a squared minus b squared? Well, no, because it's a plus. Therefore, it cannot be a squared minus b squared. Okay, and actually, it turns out we can't factor that. It is a prime. All right. Factoring by grouping. So grouping means you're kind of grouping your polynomial. You group the first two terms, group the last two terms, factor out the GCF from each one, and then there should be a common binomial GCF, and you factor that out. Let's see how that looks. So take the first two, factor out the GCF from there. By the way, factor out means divide it out, right? So if I divide, there's my GCF x. If I divide x squared by x, I get x. If I divide 4x by x, I get 4. Same thing with this one, by the way, this sign should always follow you. There should be a plus there. Here the GCF is 2 for the next group. And when I factor that out, I get 2 times x plus 4. And there's your binomial common GCF, right? It's a binomial GCF. When you factor that out, again, you can think of dividing it out. If I divide it out of the first term here, I get x. If I divide it out of the second, I get plus 2. And if I distribute this, let's do it. X times x is x squared. X times 2 is plus 2x. 4 times x is plus 4x. And 4 times 2 is 8. So I do get back my original polynomial. All right. Part 3, factoring trinomials of the form x squared plus bx plus c and ax squared plus bx plus c. So notice the difference is that's a 1x squared. That's not a 1x squared. All right. So if it's a x squared plus bx plus c, you find the factors of c that add up to b. You call them K1 and K2, and those are the answers to your factors. So the polynomial factors as x plus 1, K1 times x plus K2. All right. If it's ax squared plus bx plus c, you find the factors of ac. That means you can multiply a times c. Find the factors of ac whose sum is b. Sounds very similar to the other one. Let's call them k1 and k2. Then write the polynomial as ax squared. Notice that's the same first term. Plus k1x plus k2x. But then k1 plus k2 is b, remember? Plus c. But leave it separate like that. And then you factor by grouping 2 and 2. Okay. So remember that's for ax squared plus bx plus c. Let's look at the first example here. This is x squared plus bx plus c. So we're going to look for the factors of -5 that add up to -4. That would be -5 times 1 would give me -5. And if I add those, they give me -4. So this factors into x minus 5 times x plus 1. All right, let's try the next one. So if I try to get a GCF, there isn't any. And it's ax squared plus bx plus c. So I multiply 2 times 3, that's 6. Yeah. 2 times 3 is 6. And then I'm going to look for the factors of 6 that add up to -5. Well, it turns out that's -2 times -3. Yeah? Equals 6, and -2 plus -3 equals -5. So those are the right ones. That's my k1 and k2. So I'm going to split this middle term into those two numbers. I'm going to rewrite this as 2x squared minus 2x minus 3x plus 3. And notice that's k1 and k2. k1 times k2 is AC, and k1 plus k2 is the b part, right? The b part. Okay. And I'm just going to factor by grouping. So I factor out a 2x from here. That leaves me x minus 1 minus, don't forget that sign follows you. And I factor out a 3 from here, but keep in mind that that's a minus 3. That gives me x minus 1 here. So this is factor out the binomial GCF x minus 1, and that leaves me 2x minus 3. Okay, and again, if I distribute, x times 2x is 2x squared, x times -3 is minus 3x, -1 times 2x is minus 2x, -1 times -3 is positive 3, and that means I have the right answer. All right, so when you're asked to factor, or when you have to factor, you don't get to pick, right? You don't get to section these out and do one by one. They can give you anything. So you need a general strategy, and here it is. So you're going to factor out the GCF. Notice that's in common with everything. Number 2, you count the number of terms in the remaining polynomial. Number 3, if it's there's only 2 terms, then it has to be that one, or can't factor anymore. If there's 4 terms, then you have to do it by grouping. If it's a trinomial, then it's one of the ones we just did right now. Okay, and then finally check your factors to see if any contain a GCF or can be factored further. I mean, these are your factors. So check those factors, see if you can factor any of those, or they can't be, if there's a GCF in one of them, or if they can be factored further. If no factoring starting with step 1 was possible, then the polynomial is prime. Let's look at some examples. We'll do the odd ones here and the even ones in class. So number 1, x squared minus 9. GCF, there is none. Is it a squared minus b squared? There's 2 terms. Is it a squared minus b squared? And of course you should get fast at these. So this is x plus 3 times x minus 3. Do you have to write that part? Not really, you just have to recognize it. Let's try number 3. No GCF, there's 2 terms, so is this a squared minus b squared? No, because that's not a minus, so therefore this is prime. Let's try number 5. GCF, 2, so factor out the 2. That leaves you x squared minus 3x plus 2. Factors of 2 that add up to -3 are -1 times -2, right? -1 times -2 is 2. And if you add them, they give you -3. So the 2 stays, and then your 2 factors of x squared minus 3x plus 2 are x minus 1 times x minus 2. And again, you can distribute. X times x is x squared. X times -2 is minus 2x. Minus 1 times x is minus 1x. So that adds up to minus 3x. -1 times -2 is plus 2. All right, let's try number 7. The last one. So GCF, yes, a 2. Factor it out. This will be 3x squared minus 2x minus 1. So this is one of those ax squared plus bx plus c. So I multiply 3 times -1. That's -3. The factors of -3 that add up to -2 are -3 times 1, right? They add up to negative 2. So that means I'm going to break up the middle term, that negative 2x, into those two numbers. That's 3x squared minus 3x plus 1x. You don't have to write the 1 either. You just have to know that it's there. Okay? And then factor by grouping. So this will be that part and that part. Don't forget the plus is going to follow you. You can factor out a 3x from here. And here you can only factor a 1. Okay, so this is 2 times x minus 1 times 3x plus 1. And you can drop the brackets now. The brackets are there. You don't really need to write them. I just wrote them to make sure everything stayed separate. Okay, and I can distribute and get back to my original. In fact, let's do that. So x times 3x will be 3x squared. There it is. X times 1 will be plus 1x. Minus 1 times 3x is minus 3x. And minus 1 times 1 is minus 1. Yeah. And put these together. That give me that. And if I distribute the 2 back in, it gives me back my original. So there's my factoring. Okay. That's the end of R4. Sorry.